The relationship between the US and Israel has been a hot debate in Middle Eastern politics. For some countries, this relationship is meant to cement US-Israel influence in the Middle East. But for others, this joint venture has raised concerns about the already heated geopolitical landscape of the region. With this, the war in Gaza added fuel to the fire once again. Now the countries in the Far East, including China and Russia, have slammed the US and Israel for the chaos in the Middle East. Amidst this, Jordan, which has its borders with Israel, has harshly criticized Israel and decided to halt imports. This is a big blow to the US foreign policy in the Middle East after its relentless support to Israel. Let's explore how China, Russia, and Jordan are impacting the US-Israel relations. The Middle East is a region known for its complex geopolitical situation. On one side, it is embroiled in the interests of powerful countries to cash the revenue from oil reserves. On the other hand, it is in troubled waters due to the Israel-Palestine conflict and the growing economic challenges. Just when things were going well between the US and Iran, another controversial development took place. The US targeted Iran's oil revenues and imposed many sets of economic sanctions. The US claims that the money coming from Iranian oil exports is used to fund Iran's proxy war in the region. Moreover, the US also holds Iran responsible for the financial and military support for the Hamas's October 7th attack on Israel. It is a significant blow to Iran because it has already been grappling with tough sanctions for years. According to experts, 40% of Iran's government budget comes from oil exports. This raises an interesting question. Is Biden's administration willing to endanger stability in the region for wider geopolitical goals? Because these economic sanctions pose certain damage to Iran and its neighboring countries indirectly. On one hand, these sanctions will push Iran to a corner and disrupt the livelihood of its people. On the other hand, these sanctions will deteriorate Iran's trade relationship with its close allies, including China and Russia. Remember, Iran's major oil exports go to China, which is arch-rival of the US. So as a result of US sanctions, Russia and China get directly involved when it comes to Iran. For Russia, it is a challenge as well as an opportunity to get side by side with Iran and reshape its foreign policy in the Middle East. China, which has already expanded its influence in the world, will not like to be a passive observer in the case of Iran. Among all these, the Israel-Palestine conflict has taken a new turn once again after the escalation erupted in October 2023. For years, Israel was gradually lurking in the shadows of its technological power for quite some time, and that too with the help of its longtime ally and the biggest investor, the US. Since Israel took independence, it received a whopping $300 billion from the US in total economic and military assistance. Not only this, the US has agreed to provide Israel with almost $4 billion per year through 2028 in its war against Hamas. Moreover, the US has also helped Israel to develop its Iron Dome, a short-range rocket defense system. But the retaliation of Israel to Hamas rockets garnered global attention. Soon after the escalation, China and Russia have taken their narrative to stress a ceasefire in Gaza. But the US had other ambitions in mind. Joe Biden visited Israel in October 2023 to announce its unwavering support in its war against Hamas. As the Biden-Netanyahu meeting was in full swing, the Putin-Xi Jinping meeting was one to watch. Putin and Xi Jinping met on the sidelines of a summit and talked about two strategic issues. Firstly, to ensure safeguarding international fairness, and secondly, to promote justice in international relations. To play it fair, this meeting was meant to counter the US narrative in the Middle East. All in all, China and Russia found a common cause in the Israel-Hamas crisis. Putin lamented the US, saying that the Israel-Palestine conflict is a vivid example of the failure of the US foreign policy in the Middle East. To leverage this hot geopolitical situation, both Putin and Xi Jinping have strengthened ties to the global South for many reasons. Firstly, to find new investment and trade partners. Secondly, to find economic opportunities. And thirdly, to find a possible way to counterbalance the diplomatic influence of the US and its allies. For that reason, Russia proposed a resolution in the United Nations Security Council. The main purpose behind this was to vote for a ceasefire in Gaza, while also highlighting US-backed war crimes in the conflict. On top of that, China backed Russia's stance on the ceasefire and voted in its favor. Adding to that, China alarmed the US and its allies in the Middle East through a surprise deal. China proposed a deal last year to restore ties between Iran and Saudi Arabia. That may be fulfilled if China finds a powerful ally in the region and locks horns with Washington. Another contender in this hot geopolitical maze is Jordan. Jordan has taken a strong stance against the economic and political dominance of Israel in the Middle East. Jordan has its eastern borders with Israel and has had a peace agreement with Israel since 1994. But Israel's aggression in Gaza has triggered a severe backlash in Jordan, where almost 3 million Palestinians live. Moreover, there have been several mass rallies in Jordan and rising public opinion to shut the Israel's embassy in Jordan. On top of that, Jordan claimed not to sign the agreement to give Israel energy in exchange for water. Jordan also maintained a stance to reduce or end trade agreements with Israel and decrease imports. This has the potential to not only impact the two countries, but also the wider region. For this, Jordan has been lauded by some Arab countries for countering Israel's influence in the region. That puts Jordan at a crossroads and raises the question of acting in what one believes is right. For many, Jordan has solidified Arab sentiment by holding an anti-US Israel stance. For many countries, China, Russia, and Jordan did their part to condemn Israel's ongoing human rights violations in Gaza. But for others, Russia and China are the heads of the same coin due to Russia's continued aggression in Ukraine. This balance of power approach and the choice of interests divide the powerful countries. What are your thoughts about it? Do you think China, Russia, and Jordan did good on their part? Let us know in the comments section. For more such videos and hot topics, check out our next video and don't forget to subscribe.